Right now, think of the smartest person you know. Maybe it's a friend who graduated top of the class. Maybe it's a coworker who can explain complicated things over lunch like it's nothing. Maybe it's a family member with degrees hanging on the wall. Now, ask something uncomfortable. Does that person actually have money? Chances are, no. Chances are they're stressed about a credit card balance right now, today, while you're watching this. And that doesn't add up. If intelligence built wealth, the smartest people on Earth would also be the richest. But that's not how it works. Not even close. So here's the real question. Why doesn't being smart protect anyone from being broke? Why do people who solve hard problems for a living go home and make the same money mistake year after year without ever catching it? The answer has almost nothing to do with intelligence. It's about something most people are never taught to notice. And once you see it, you'll start noticing it everywhere, including in your own bank account.
Meet Henry. Henry has a good job, a real degree, a solid paycheck. On paper, Henry should be fine. But every month, by around day 20, Henry's account is running thin. And Henry can't quite explain where the money went. There's no big scandal, no one purchase to blame. It just disappears. Here's what nobody tells Henry. Intelligence and financial behavior are not the same skill. Intelligence is your ability to process information, solve a puzzle, learn a system, spot a pattern. Money, on the other hand, isn't a puzzle. It's 100 small emotional decisions a day, repeated for decades. And the part of the brain that handles those decisions doesn't care how many books you've read.
This is the trap. Being good at solving problems at work quietly convinces smart people they can solve any problem, including ones that aren't actually logic problems at all. Henry can build a spreadsheet in 10 minutes. Henry can win an argument in a meeting. So Henry assumes money will bend the same way, through sheer thinking. But money doesn't respond to how smart you are. It responds to what you actually do, on autopilot, when nobody's grading you. Here's the twist, and it's the part that stings. It's not that smart people make careless mistakes. It's that their intelligence gets used to justify the mistake, dressed up as a good decision.
Picture Henry deciding not to set up automatic savings because Henry has a system, a mental one, tracked in his head that he's confident he can manage better than some rigid rule. Picture Henry buying a stock because he read an article and feels like he spotted something everyone else missed. Picture Henry skipping the boring, unsexy budget because budgets are for people who can't do math, and Henry can absolutely do math. None of this feels reckless in the moment. It feels smart. That's exactly the problem. Psychologists call this overconfidence bias, the tendency to believe your own judgment is more reliable than it actually is. And here's the cruel part. Overconfidence doesn't shrink as intelligence rises. It grows. The smarter someone is, the more evidence they have across their whole life that trusting their own thinking usually works out. So when it comes to money, they trust it one time too many.
Henry isn't undisciplined. Henry is convinced. And convinced is much harder to fix than undisciplined, because convinced doesn't think it has a problem. Henry thinks the plan is working. Henry thinks this month is just unusual. Henry thinks next month he'll figure it out, using the same brain that got him here in the first place. This isn't just a theory about one guy. It's been measured.
In 2000, finance professors Brad Barber and Terrence Odean at UC Berkeley and UC Davis studied over 66,000 households with brokerage accounts, tracking their actual trades for years. They found that the most active traders, the ones who felt confident enough to buy and sell frequently, trusting their own read on the market, underperformed a simple buy and hold strategy by about 6.5% per year. Not because they were unintelligent, because they were sure. Their paper had a blunt title: Trading is Hazardous to Your Wealth. The more someone traded, the more they believed their own judgment, the worse the results got. It runs even deeper than confidence. Nobel Prize-winning psychologists Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky discovered something called loss aversion, A dollar lost feels roughly twice as painful as a dollar gained feels good. That single fact quietly rewires financial decisions for everyone, including highly capable people. It's why Henry holds on to a losing investment far too long, waiting to break even instead of cutting losses. It's why Henry avoids checking his account after a bad week. The brain isn't doing math there, it's avoiding pain, and then finding a smart sounding reason afterward to explain the choice.
That's the mechanism. Intelligence doesn't override these instincts, it supplies the justification for them. So go back to the smartest person you thought of at the start. They're probably not broke because they don't understand money. They're broke because somewhere along the way, their intelligence got hired to defend a decision their gut had already made. And intelligence is very, very good at building a case for whatever you already want to believe. Which means the real question was never why do smart people stay broke? It's what decision are you making right now that you've dressed up in a smart-sounding reason that you already know isn't quite right? That question doesn't need a high IQ to answer. It just needs a moment of honesty. The one thing being clever tends to talk you out of. If that made you rethink something, stick around. This channel breaks down the psychology behind money decisions every week. No jargon, just the real reasons smart people keep doing this to themselves.